You got to have a concept. You have a great concept. You guys are doing it, man, and it's an honor for me to just be, a small rock, man, in your mountain. I'm gonna pop a top in your honor.
Mr. Doc Walker blessed us with his presence and knowledge.
We want to welcome in our next special guest, Haley Skarupa. She's a three-time world champion in women's ice hockey and most recently won Olympic gold with Team USA.
The Cap Stadium Series is definitely my favorite, obviously. I'm a huge Caps fan, I always have been, and to be there at that game with my teammates and for us to bring, our gold medals to there and share it with everyone in this area was really, really special for me, and just the support and it's been tremendous from everyone in this area, and you can feel that there at that game.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Net.
And welcome to episode 347 of Sports on the Hill podcast. I appreciate everyone for tuning in across a ton of platforms. We are live on Facebook, is where we all started this thing. We actually started on the True Radio Network for people who might not remember that. And what's cool is tonight we kind of have the grand return of some of the OG people that were part of this network and part of the start of this show. And I thought no better way to celebrate our first Victory Monday with you guys. So we're going to bring all of them in just a second. We've got Big Hurt, who actually went to the game yesterday. He actually got to meet up with our CEO, Carol Porter III, who can't be here tonight. But in hour two, I'll show some of his footage and show some of his thoughts and takes, even if he isn't on live with us. But in this first hour, we're going to get Hurt's take. First, we're going to also bring in Dan, the Sith Lord, who used to give us all the great takes on all the different teams back when we used to do a 3 or 4 hour radio show starting at 7 o'clock at night, and we would break down every single game in the first 3 seasons of this show. We met Sith, and Hurt together on the True Radio Network. We also had Champ, who joined and did a wrestling show on the True Radio Network, and then eventually Champ and Sith now do the No Spots pod together, which is cool because this is actually the very first time, Hurt, that we've had the full No Spots pod on this show since it switched over to this new format 4 years ago. So it's a big night for all of us. I'm super excited. I'm going to start with Hurt because I know his time is limited, and then I'm going to get Dan's full takes on everything as well. Champ's going to be here all night with me. Rocky will talk about a ton of different stuff in the NFL action. But Hurt, I do want to ask you first, man, Pick'em was crazy this week. So we're all a part of this, Pick'em, league. And I went pretty vanilla in that first hour, and so did so many people. And we all got very screwed out of a lot of picks. But I actually was going to bet against us. We only had a 1-point spread, and I thought, maybe we're going to lose this game. But last minute, it was the one change I made, was I did pick us, at least in this game. But man, was I nervous about that pick throughout this game. Talk me through how we had 7 incredible drives, but only were able to get field goals on them, and what that was like to be there with the fan experience opening night. And how have you been?
I've been well. I've been busy, and eventually people are going to see how busy I've been. I got a lot of different projects I'm working on. I'm still about 6 or 8 months away from dropping a few of them, but it's going to be a fun time, and you're going to get the scoop on a lot of them when they go up.
Yeah, we'll break live stuff here. Whenever you have news to break, you always know you got a spot here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the people who follow your pod have been really supportive, with my YouTube channel and everything. So I figure you guys deserve to know first, and you'll find out before everybody else does. I'm gonna tell you that now.
Yeah.
Other than that, I was at the game. Great time. I got up in the morning, and if anyone wants to know the best way to get to the game, I don't want to plug anybody for free here. But if you want to know the best way to get to the game, contact me, and I'll tell you the best way to enjoy the game. But I woke up in the morning, Me and a good friend of mine, we had breakfast, we had drinks, we got on the bus, we rode to the game, we go in the game, we're hyped up. It's a lot more burgundy and black than I expected. There was, there's Giants fans, there was some red, white, and blue over in their section, but not taking over the stadium like some games last year, not like the Buffalo Bills game.
Yeah, that's good. Because when we talked before the game started, and you were saying, that you thought that it was a lower turnout at first, but you thought that it was a good showing of our fans, and less blue is sprinkled in. You said that it did fill in more as the first quarter went on, which happens
The entire stadium filled in. Yeah, I was when I got there at 12:40 in my seat, I was like, oh, the stadium's at like 50%, 60%. But it got up to 80, 85.
Good.
It was pretty packed.
Yeah, and would you say the ratio stayed about the same for home team fans to
70-30?
Yeah.
70 right. And the 30s being pretty liberal because behind the Giants sideline, it was about 50-50, Giants-Washington. But the other 3/4 of the stadium was 80-20. More than that. So I feel like we represented very well.
It's interesting that you say that because I was a season ticket holder for a bunch of years, and that's actually was my section was on the visitor side 20-yard line. I loved it because it was actually kind of like 50-50 even on the visitor side often. So it wasn't ever like, oh, I felt like I was actually, it's not like college where it's, it's really more, delved in. There's a ton of season ticket holders all throughout the stadium. And so it's good to see that it wasn't too bad, because, New York fans can sometimes travel. And so I'm happy that our fans wanted to see this new regime. And got to talk about this kicker. I mean, talk about trial by fire. Last week, missed field goals, I don't want to say it's cost us the game because there was a lot more wrong last week than that. But it was clearly a problem. They addressed it. They brought in a new guy. I mean, we were like breaking this news last week on Monday that he had just been hired just like an hour before our show start. And like, I didn't even know his name. We had to look it up live on air and stuff like that. But man, 7 for 7, needed every one of them. And
everyone could not miss.
Yeah.
I mean, that man if he didn't earn us no scrutiny for the rest of the year, I don't know what does. He single-handedly delivered us a game. That's it. No questions asked. Him. So
by the way, those 7 made field goals set a new franchise record for most made field goals in a game by a Washington kicker.
Yeah.
Not even Chip Lowmiller did it. And Chip Lowmiller is like a legend around his parts.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Austin Siebert is the first one. Yeah. So the record was 6 for 6. He did 7 for 7. And I want to say it's the second highest performance in the history of the league. Only one game has ever topped this and gone with 8 made field goals. And I don't know if he didn't miss any. But also an interesting stat that I saw today was it marks the first time in history that a team has scored 3 touchdowns and not allowed a touchdown and lost a game in the history of the league.
Giant record.
Yeah. So, but like no team, that's not even a giant record. That is like no team had ever gone that bad.
Because fuck them.
Yeah, so that's great. But I feel for them though. I mean, kicker gets hurt opening game. I tune in 2 minutes late. I even missed that. So I had no idea why Gano was on the sideline. And
opening kickoff, Washington takes the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. It gets called back in the stadium and looked like a ticky-tack call. But who knew that would be the last time we get in the end zone?
Yeah. Later in this show, I'm going to show Carol's point of view of that touchdown because he actually puts it on our page. So shout out to SportsOTHP's Facebook page if you want to see it. But in hour 2, I will show it and we'll walk through it a little bit more. But like, it's kind of wild that, there's holding on every play and they're going to call that, to negate a touchdown. I mean, there's so few return touchdowns in this league. Like, these are sort of things you have to let go just for the
sake of the game. Yeah. But there were a lot of suspect calls. I don't like blaming the referees for things, but the Giants got so used to getting calls, they were actively campaigning for flags between plays. and it got annoying. The only thing more annoying than that was watching Terry McLaurin run one-on-one and not get the ball thrown his way. Not even not get the ball thrown his way, to not have the quarterback look in his direction. It was annoying. The fans were chanting Terry's name like he was The Rock. That was happening in the stadium. Terry, Terry. It's just, we feel for him. And I don't understand how the Giants have plays set up for their wide receiver, their rookie wide receiver. They have a same drag route for him where he can get the ball, and we just refuse to be able to stop it every single time. But we can't come up with anything but a bubble screen for the best wide receiver we've had in 10 years.
I have a question for you, Hurt. Something else that was annoying. This is something that Dugenais brought up last week after our opening season loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that is the tackling or lack thereof of our defense. What did that look like in the stadium, watching them turn Devin Montgomery into a modern-day Barry Sanders, the way he was eluding tackles?
I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I wasn't able to watch the game because for whatever reason, my YouTube TV didn't record the game. It recorded 4 hours of dead air. It recorded 4 hours of your game is being broadcast on your local channel. So I'm pissed off about that. But in the stadium, which is all I have to go by now, in the stadium, it looked like the Little League Giants trying to tackle Barry Sanders. It didn't look like we were just missing tackles. It looked like the kid was making good plays. It looked like he was making good jukes. It looked like we were making good efforts. It was like, oh, that was a hard tackle. It didn't look like we missed any easy tackles. In the stadium, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, it's a defense that's trying to find itself. At moments, I'm proud of them for like bending and not breaking. It could have been worse, right? It was especially at the end of the game when we sort of had to hold them off. I felt like that they did show up. I mean, they had to make a couple of plays, and they did ultimately, but it was rough. The frustrating thing for me was we would run the ball so well up till we get into the red zone, and we would just fall apart. And we would just do these idiotic penalties, shoot ourselves in the foot, put ourselves in 3rd and long, and get predictable. And I don't know what our answer has to be in the red zone, but like if we want any chance against Cincinnati next week, we have to fix it. Like it's bad. It's the fact that we're lucky that the Giants are so inept that 7 field goals shouldn't have even been enough, right? But it was, and we got lucky. But Hurt, what do we got to do in the red zone?
I'm gonna tell you what you gotta do in the red zone, what you gotta do in the middle of the field. Let that kid throw the ball. That kid's Jaden Daniels' specialty isn't his feet, it's his arm. He can throw the ball vertical downfield. After he took that hit where he was down for a little bit, and I had to assure everybody in my section, I said, hey, he got the wind knocked out of him. He's going to be okay. When he went like this, I've been there. Wind knocked out. He's going to take a play off. He'll be back. People in my section were like, oh, my God, no, it's over. Let's go home. And then he came back in, and I'm like, everyone in the stadium, everyone in my section is clapping at me. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm the guy, Sports on the Hill. You can catch me there tomorrow. But we need to let him throw the ball down the field. After that play, they started letting him throw the ball. And you're getting 15, 20-yard chunks. That's what he's good at. He's not a bubble screen guy. He is a 10, 15 yards down the field guy. Let him throw the ball. If we're on the 11-yard line, let him throw the fucking ball in the end zone. Let him do it. Run the drag route. Let him throw the ball. That's what we need to do. We're not going to run in from 10 yards out. No disrespect to Robinson. Best running back we've had since Clinton Portis.
Yeah.
Let them throw the ball. Let him throw the ball.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Robinson's performance, though. I know you had something to say. Let's talk about career high in rushing yards. Didn't get a touchdown, but career high in rushing yards. He looked like he was just a monster running through there. That one play where it looked like he was stuffed and he managed to slip out on the weak side and get a big chunk play on that one. How amazing was his performance yesterday?
I was in the stadium watching, and I couldn't tell you how that happened. We all were just like, we had the same reaction as the announcers. We were like, oh my God. And the stadium came alive. Every time he got some chunks, what I love about our fans is they let the players know that they appreciated what they were doing. They let them know they appreciate it. When Terry, I don't know if it came through on television, but like I said, every time Terry ran open and they didn't look at him, the fans in the stadium started chanting his name to let the coach know, if you don't see it, we see it. Brian Robinson. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the other Robinson right now.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson.
I'm carry Kirk Cousins on his shoulder.
Right. By the way, the Eagles are winning 7-3. I got a minute 42 left on my first half. But so the benefit of us watching YouTube TV is we can be synced up.
Yeah,
anyway,
we're synced up.
Right.
Hey, Kirk, life isn't what you thought it would be.
Right. It's true.
Yeah. Hey, they plug and play in Minnesota, and they're doing just fine over there. Sam Darnold's doing just fine.
Right.
$200 million. I don't know, Kurt. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's getting paid $200 million to hand the ball off to Robinson. So, but yeah, every time Robinson did something good, the fans let him know. Terry, fans let him know. The fans were much more appreciative, but this coaching staff, these play calls, they are the worst. It is.
Thank you for calling them out. It is the worst.
It is Jay Gruden bad.
Yeah, it is. I don't. I just think new regime. That's the part I didn't expect to be so bad. I thought the players take some time to develop. The players actually playing pretty well for the what's being called. It's just they need to.
It's being executed. It's not working.
Right. Yeah.
That's what they're supposed to do. But
but that gives me some hope because maybe the coaching staff can develop. If they can figure their shit out.
The biggest problem is there were so many times in this game where they lined up, and I was able, from section 209, I was able to call the play out exactly for what it was. So many times. And the 2 or 3 times I couldn't call it out, I'm like, oh, this is a bubble screen. Oh, it's a 20-yard pass to so-and-so go up the side. Like the few times I couldn't call it out were the plays where we got big chunks. And I was telling people next to me, if I can call it out, the defense knows. They're like, oh, it's a bubble screen. Oh, they're running it this way. Oh, they're flooding this side. Like it looked very easy to call out.
I didn't like that type of screens. I just think that we could do better in the motion offense. We've got such a fast quarterback now and such a tight running back core. Just get them into space. Also put them into certain situations. Slant routes and just try to mix it up a bit. I don't know. I feel like we've gotten our own way a little bit in our play calling, and we just didn't let the play of the games dictate what we should be doing. And I don't know.
We continue to not make adjustments on what players can and can't do. Like I said, Jaden Daniels, he throws the ball down the field. That's what he does good. And they just weren't calling those plays for him, except for a couple of plays after he got hurt. And they kind of felt like they had to. So they did it. We continue to have our cornerbacks line up 5, 6, 7, 8 yards off of the wide receivers when it's 3rd and 4. Why are we so far back? What are we doing? It's just certain things that the Giants knew they could do. The Giants know their drag route was good every time they call it. Every time we call this drag route, it's going to be a first down. And they were comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. As a fan, it's frustrating. I don't want to give them any more money. I can't buy another ticket until I see a product that's worth spending money on.
I got something that was frustrating as well. 4 times you get into the red zone, first and 10, first and goal, what have you. And on the very first play, false start, offense, 4 times.
That's coaching. I mean, that's on the players, but it's like, yo, what?
I agree.
That's a penalty. You have to be scared enough of your coach to not have a false start. You have to be scared enough of your coach to not be the person to back your team up.
Especially at home. You're at home.
At some point, you got to be like, okay, we've had like 3 or 4 false starts. You know what? 342 upright tie on 1. And you go to the line, hut, and you just go. No hut, stand, what? Huh? Omaha false start. No, just go on 1. First down, we go.
I agree. And you have the option for quarterback sneak, build some things in around him. I don't know. It's just
Kirk fucking Cousins, boy. I'm sorry. He's just he's just marginal.
Yes, he is. We're gonna take it live from here. It's 3rd and goal right here at the end of the 2 minutes.
Look at this throw.
I'm still on second and goal. What the hell y'all doing?
What? How? What are you watching?
I'm watching on ESPN.
We're watching TV. We're on 3rd and goal.
Yeah, y'all ahead of me because I'm on ESPN on my Xfinity. Oh shit.
Oh no, 3rd and goal. They just got to the line, and it's
the timeout, Eagles. This always happens. Whenever I go to Monday Night Football, they call a timeout. It's been like a running gag now for a few seasons. But anyway,
marginal quarterback of all. He's the most average quarterback of all time. Oh, I'm sorry. 2nd most average quarterback of all time. Here's Troy Aikman.
Right.
I gotta ask everybody that's on this call a question that my good friend Britt Brad, who streams on Twitch, asked earlier because she's into football. Who is the biggest fraud at quarterback in the NFL right
Kirk
now?
Cousins.
Daniel. Okay. I was gonna say either Daniel Jones or Dak Prescott.
Fraud.
I think Daniel.
Oh no, Daniel Jones. I mean, woo! Kirk Cousins just threw it deep into the end zone.
What is
Hey yo, Kirk just threw it to the third.
Oh, it's good to see that the Monday night curse doesn't, that lives on him.
He's so ass.
Wow, he threw it to the damn 2nd row. What the hell?
I didn't know he had that kind of arm strength.
22.
Kirk Cousins' ass.
Ass, bro.
Oh, bad.
$240 million of ass cheeks.
All right. Well, they made.
But you know what's funny? Brent asked that question, and I jokingly said it's a tie. They're both frauds between Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones. But I got to put Kirk Cousins in there.
Hey, respectfully, you switch those teams. You switch those quarterbacks. You put Daniel Jones in Dallas. You put Dak Prescott with the Giants. The Giants beat our ass yesterday, and Dallas goes unwinned for the rest of the season. Daniel Jones, for me,
I agree.
The worst professional quarterback in our division, possibly in the conference. So I don't think Dak is a fraud. I think
or as much as of one. I think for the amount of money he commands, he is not worth it. He hasn't proven he can win any big games. But anyway, just but I agree, Daniel Jones is worse. So it's like it's a moving scale, but they're both frauds, just to what degree? I just, I don't believe
how. Let's hear from Sith. We haven't heard from Sith yet this entire time. He's been sitting up there just staring at us.
I got some sense for y'all.
Sith!
All right. What'd be happening, Hurt? How you doing, bro? My man.
I don't want to answer that while I'm drinking as heavy as I'm drinking.
Cool. Okay, folks. Jaden Daniels had an efficient day yesterday. He was 23 out of 29 for 226 yards. No touchdowns, but guess what, though? No picks and also no lost fumbles.
Yep.
Daniels is a good quarterback. Our O-line needs help. I'm not going to deny it. But with Daniels, there's a word that I like to use about him right now. Efficient. He gets out there, does what he needs to do. And I agree with Champ. False start in the red zone. Inside the 10-yard line. Inside the 5. False start. And I'm like, we were going for it on fourth down in the first quarter, and I'm thinking, okay, let's get 6 here. No, false start and end up getting a field goal. It was like the story of yesterday was we would get to the red zone, shoot ourselves in the foot, end up splitting for 3. And I give credit where it's due. I bitched about the defense yesterday, but they stepped up when we needed them to give Daniels the chance to have that game-winning drive for us to win the game,
Yeah,
which did happen.
Sith went in our group chat and talked shit about the defense. Literally on the next play, they got a fumble recovery.
Yeah. I mean, I was out taking the dog out real quick, come back. He's like, Champ's like, yo, Sith, guess what happened? I'm like, what? Forced fumble recovery. I'm like, now, cool, you know. But look, all in all, I still think we're rebuilding, and I know people are tired of hearing that. But I need to say something, though, to the people who are trying to compare Jaden Daniels to RG3. Shut up. He is not RG3. This was happening in groups yesterday, and I was just like, no. And as long as we still have this stigma of comparing a quarterback to an RG3 or Kirk Cousins or even other quarterbacks that we've had in the past, we're not going to evolve as a fan base. We need to let Jaden Daniels do things on his own, be his own person. You know, comparing him to RG3, I hope to God he's not seeing this on social media. And if he is, I hope he just shuts the noise down and just doesn't pay attention to it. Because we as a fan base, I admit, we have had some shitty years. Trust and believe, I know. Been following this team all my life almost. But Jaden Daniels gives us a little bit of a spark here. Gotta give this kid time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Some of these people need to stop this win now or F off attitude and realize that ownership, the new ownership is building something here with this new coaching staff and the players that they're bringing in. And I love that that the fans at the stadium, because trust and believe, love Hurt, know he's telling the truth. They're telling the coaches and the team, hey, guess what? Y'all are getting out there. Y'all are getting this done. We appreciate that. It's also a relief that it was, 7 on TV. It seemed like it was 65-35 with us having more fans in the building than the Giants, which compared to the previous years when it's been more, we're outnumbered, felt like it. It felt good.
Yeah, I'm so happy that so many good friends that I saw across Facebook were at that game. So, Hurt, I know that you aren't a season ticket holder. You don't even know if you're going to go to another game this season. It depends on the project on the field. But we've got Carroll, and this is his first game as a season ticket holder, right? And so I've so the whole range of different fans, that I know, and friends. And so it's good to see a lot of these people get to enjoy it. It looked like a beautiful day for it. It was I'm just happy that it all went right for us because it's easy to nitpick all the things that went wrong, but you have to be happy with getting a victory no matter how it happens. It was one of the few weeks that we all picked us to get a victory in our pick before the season, and I was very nervous about that, right? Because but I was just really, really happy to see it. I do want to get Hurt's thoughts real quickly on one thing because I'm going to get Sith, yours and Champ's thoughts on it in a little bit. But Hurt, I know you're a big wrestling fan. Were you able to catch the first SmackDown, on USA? And I do want to get your thoughts on it.
Was not. The biggest regret I have for how busy I am right now is I am about 3 or 4 weeks behind on Raw and SmackDown. I was at SmackDown in DC, and that's the last wrestling I have seen. I haven't seen anything since.
Wow. Okay.
That's how busy I've been.
Right. I was planning to be at that SmackDown, but my dad's lodge had a thing going on with dinner that my mom cooked, and so we had to do that. Otherwise, I'd have been there with Jess and Junior. But because we had the thing that we were doing there, we ended up going to do that. So I missed that. But I did catch Capital Collision the following Friday in Southeast. So
That's awesome.
that was pretty cool.
You know, I thought about going to that, but I was just my Mondays, my Wednesdays. You know, I'm pretty much busy every day except for Thursday these days. It's just I'm just so busy. And like I say, eventually y'all will understand why I'm so busy. I just can't talk about it now.
Right. No,
But on that note, I have to step. You have any final questions?
I know. One last question. What do we have to do to beat Cincinnati next week? We're gonna do a live broadcast live on here. You can watch my really upset face as I watch us probably get demolished. But Hurt, what is, Cincinnati's 0-2, they're gonna be desperate. How do you go into a place like Cincinnati with the team that you saw this week?
I have a plan for beating Cincinnati. They need to get on a plane, go to Jerusalem, go find the tomb, see if you can find a piece of the cross, get it, dust it off, and pray over it that Chase, Burrow, and a couple of offensive linemen all just decide to take the game off because we're not winning that game. We're not competing that game. And if we compete in that game, I'm going to be really upset. I think it's going to be bad. Like a good friend of mine, my consigliere, he said it before the game. He said, you're going to this Giants game, you're a little too confident. You feel like we're going to beat the Giants. I was talking trash to my uncle. I'm like, oh, dude, we're going to smash the Giants, smack them. I'm taking the point, like +5. We're I was talking a lot. He said, you guys are 2 drafts and 2 off-season signings away from a good team. You're about 4 offensive linemen, a wide receiver, a linebacker, and a defensive stud away from being competitive. And by the time you have that, Jane Daniels will be in his prime. So
that sounds okay.
I'm lowering my expectations now. I know I picked us to win like 9-10 games. I'm thinking 4 or 5.
Yeah.
This was really bad. The Giants are the worst team in the league, and we barely beat them. And if their kicker, Graham Gano, looking out, baby, if he doesn't tear his hamstring on the first play of the game, we probably lose that game. Like I tell people, like we would have called the game different if we know they have a kicker, but no, we wouldn't. We would have lost.
We would have lost it for sure. Yeah. Sounds good. Well, Hurt, I appreciate your time as always. Definitely when you have more news, feel free. You can always stop by here whenever you want to talk Commanders football. You always know that you got a spot here. So I wish you luck in all of your future endeavors, whatever that might be. And I'm super happy that we got to see you, and I'm super happy CP3 got to see you live. And we'll show that picture a little bit later in hour 2. But hope that you have a great rest of your night, and hopefully next Monday isn't too brutal for me on the live show. And we will talk to you soon.
All right, later on, you guys.
All right, peace, bro.
So people don't know, Hurt was our first producer, helped make this whole entire thing a possibility. We all joined a network called the True Radio Network, and we were the Monday show. They tried us out. Originally, I told Carol I wanted to produce him for an audio podcast, and instead of that, Hurt said, I will produce it. I'll be behind the scenes in the call-in show. We'll give people a phone number. They can call in. And you and Carol, you just talk about whatever sports you want to talk about, and it's your show, and we'll bring in guests and stuff like that. And we would just use Facebook Messenger, and we would send messages back and forth when people were on the line and who was on the line. We would bring in Dan, the Sith Lord, here on many a nights, and we'd had a whole team of different people, about 5 or 6 or 7 different years, people that would call in every night. Arun would call in, Tim as well, and it was an incredible thing to start 9 years ago. And it's just so thankful for Hurt for giving it, which is why I always will give him a platform for whatever he wants to talk about. Because I think he's an incredible guy, and he really took a chance on us. And I didn't even believe in it myself. I always thought I was going to be a behind the scenes guy. Never saw myself in front of the camera or chatting about it. And it gave us an opportunity. And soon later on, I would actually produce on the side and be live on air, and people would take turns, lots of different guests. His show, Hertz House, was on Wednesday. Dan the Sith Lord would do a lot of stuff from movie reviews to music reviews on the network as well. And then Champ came on and decided to do a wrestling show on the network as well. And eventually, when he moved to a video platform, Sith joined that as well. And so they've done the No Spots podcast together now for many years. And so we always have Ken, DC's People's Champ, on all the time on this thing. And we've been remiss, and we haven't had Sith on for a very long time on this video platform. But Sith, I want to ask, how have you been and how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. As some people who have followed news spots know, I went through a personal issue, a year ago when my girlfriend died, but things have been going relatively good. Last week, give you a little bit, Robbie's just like, hey, Dan, got a question. I was like, yeah, do you think maybe you could come on for a bit, talk about the games? I was like, as back in the day, when we're on Blog Talk Radio, it sounds like the Stone Ages almost.
Exactly.
At one point, I was doing Sports on the Hill, with during NFL season, doing True Talk, then being Hurt's anchor on Wednesday nights with whatever he was going to do. And it was either if Hurt wanted to go for an hour, I would be the last caller, or if he wanted to go 2 hours, I would carry him into the second hour as an anchor. And for example, I've got stats right here for the game. We actually ran the ball more than passed it yesterday. We ran the ball 35 times, passed it 29. Under Jake Gruden, y'all know well, we would have passed the ball 40 times, ran it maybe 12.
Yeah.
I remember the Gruden days. I remember the Shanahan days. I remember I remember the good old days of Gibbs 1.0. Those were awesome years. I consider myself very blessed and fortunate to have known what happened back in the 80s, back when we were winning. And then when it just all came apart. And then we started to have, seasons here and there where things would click. But this team is starting to form its identity again under new ownership, which is a good thing. And so when Robbie messaged me last week and was just like, I'd like to have you on talk about the game. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And so I watched the game. And coming back on tonight, hanging out with Hurt, hanging out with Robbie, hanging out with Champ, just brought back memories of 2016 when we were all just cracking jokes and having fun. Even if it was a bad game the night before,
Yeah.
we were cracking jokes and having fun. And, I remember one night, this was on Hurt's house in 2015. And this is before we gave Kirk his first franchise tag. I remember saying, you need to lock him down. You don't want to tag him because then it's guaranteed money. And what do you know? We tag him twice. And if you ask me who's the most overrated veteran quarterback in the NFL, Cousins is up there, followed by Daniel Jones, then Dak Prescott. And the reason why is because can Dak win the big game? No. He's getting all this money, can't win the big game. Kirk Cousins gets a ton of guaranteed money a year, can't win the big game. Daniel Jones, y'all don't listen. If you don't listen to New York sports, and I do from time to time, the fans crucify Jones every week. Opie from Opie and Anthony, he said that he's thankful he's a Jets fan because he doesn't have to deal with Daniel Jones. But he said it's not much because the Jets aren't that good either. So,
The Jets have the opposite problem. They have a quarterback and they have problems in so many other places, right? So,
but I remember watching the game yesterday and telling Champ, "Oh, this defense," but then forced fumble, and I'm like, There you go. That's what we need. A little bit of a spark. The story of this team, though, so far this season is one step forward, two steps back. Although we haven't had any interceptions, thank you, so far this season, penalties on offense and defense have always set us back. And where it comes to the false starts, I got to a point where I'm yelling at the TV, you know the count. Y'all know this count. Stop trying to draw someone up sides by moving. Just listen to what Daniels is calling for the count cadence. And here, I know it's difficult at times because the fans are extremely loud, but guess what? They're cheering for you. Best way to keep them on your side is stop getting these false start penalties that you know are going to bite you in the ass and just go with the flow. And to answer Robbie's question about next week, I don't have any rosary beads. I left those behind in school when I was little.
Right.
We need rosary beads or something because we're good. Cincinnati.
It's gonna be a brutal podcast. It's hard for me to get really excited about that. I have to do it. It's gonna just be for the comedy of watching me just get very upset.
I might send you messages, in DM next Monday night. That's going to seem like Mystery Science Theater 3000 almost.
Well, you're always welcome to just watch it with us if you want to.
I might watch it.
Yeah,
I might. I'm not sure yet, but
you're always welcome to.
But I remember watching the one Achilles heel this team has had in most of the years that I've been with the network, and oh God, I'm on year 9, is primetime games. We usually just don't do well, whether it's Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. It's like we get stage fright. Yeah. And if you've ever gone to the theater or seen, gone to a live theatrical show, you can tell when someone on stage has stage fright and they're under the lights, they're not doing what you think they need to do, and they miss their lines. Well, that's us on prime time. We want to do well, but we get stage fright on the big scene, just like Kirk Cousins tonight.
I was about to say that it's like the match made in heaven. Us and Kirk Cousins, the two darlings that suck on the big time stage. So we get this 2 weeks in a row on Monday Night Football. For us.
Well, I think we'll look better than Cousins did. I had faith in Jaden Daniels to probably show off a little bit and show Kirk Cousins, hey kid, these fans loved you in DC if you would actually produce.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been trying my best to get out of talking about Kirk Cousins and RG3 in groups because it's just so outplayed. They're no longer in DC. Yeah. And my attitude is I wish Kirk nothing but the best, but I know that he's slightly average at best. He's making a shitload of guaranteed money. And for what? Is he going to win the big game? No.
It's just
he's not going to take it.
That whole process of drafting somebody for the same amount of years that he's playing, it's such a questionable decision. Like it just shoots all that positive momentum that as a team, he could be like, it's a fresh start for both sides, and immediately a quarterback controversy, right? And I get that it's not a quarterback controversy now, but you're like assuring yourself of one down in the future, right? So
although as rich as Cousins is, I think he might get replaced at some point during this deal.
Yeah.
Nope, we're good here. Because I had a gut feeling when we gave him that second tag, I was like, he's gone at the end of the year because we are not going to pay him 25, 35 million guaranteed everything, which is what he wanted. And it goes back to something that Hurts said years ago back on Blog Talk. Kirk never wanted to be in DC long term. He wanted to get out. And honestly, the way that the DC media is, and was and still is, I'd want to get out too if I were him, because the junkies used Kirk until they realized he's going to be gone at the end of the year. He's not coming back. Then they started to bury him every week. It's a lot like watching Hulk Hogan come in and say, "No, brother, that doesn't work for me." And he buries him.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a plug, Robbie. If y'all want to know what Champ and I thought about SmackDown this Friday night, we just did No Spots tonight where we did our little Push Berry thing we can review for the SmackDown debut on USA.
Nice. I do want to get I do want to get a couple of your thoughts just on here too, but
Okay,
then
cool.
I can elaborate.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the flow. There was one certain match where Champ and I were both like, "No, that ain't it," and that was Mia Yim versus Piper Niven. It was just like, huh?
Yeah.
I thought it was against Chelsea Green. It was against
You're right, Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green. Brain fart. I've been up since 4 a.m. So yeah, but it was against Chelsea Green.
No, I don't.
Me and Champ were just like, no.
I hate to say this, but I skipped that match because I was watching it on DVR delay and I just wanted to kind of get through it.
You didn't miss anything.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, I kind of watched little bits of it and I was like, I'm kind of over that. So
both of us gave it good grades, though.
Yeah.
The show.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I liked that, Roman, and it was a good setup for Bad Blood, and I don't know. I just thought that they overall, I was excited about the move and the energy in the room, and it seemed like a really great episode. And yeah, from the beginning too, just that cage match and watching a title defense right there, live. I thought it was a well-produced segment, 30 minutes, no commercial break, lots of, action and interesting storylines and how it pushed the story. And I thought it did a good job with all that. So I was very impressed, and I'll be interested to see where we go from here.
Hey, Robbie.
Yeah.
We did a review of All Out. And I remember in the preview, I said for the unsanctioned main event, I referenced the most recent direct-to-video Hellraiser film before the reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And I said this could make the first 7 to 8 minutes of Hellraiser Judgment look tame. You get towards the end, and this is where Champ and I had a major problem, where Adam Page gets a syringe and puts it into Swerve Strickland's mouth, then an unprotected chair shot, and it closes out the match. I was like, why? And Champ and I both ranted about this on the pod that we did tonight. That'll be out probably tomorrow at some point on audio. It didn't take away with me for the quality of the card overall. But as Champ and I both agreed, at some point you got to turn down the level on your excesses. Because what worked in the 80s and the 90s, what I grew up on, what Champ grew up on, it doesn't work that much anymore. It doesn't age well.
Yeah, I said it on the pod as well. I said, I've watched a website which showed live mutilations and assassinations and violent, gory things and never didn't blink an eyebrow. Yet the sight of Bryan Danielson being smothered by a plastic bag and then Swerve Strickland having a syringe put through his jaw and then hit with an unprotected chair shot, I said, that's too much. And it took away from the overall card, because the card was very solid from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. But all of these media guys like Busted Open Radio and Eric Bischoff and Booker T on his podcast Hall of Fame, they all they could talk about was the Bryan Danielson spot at the end of his world title match and the cage match that ended All Out. That's all they could talk about. They couldn't talk about the fact that Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander went out and had a violent banger of a Chicago street fight in which Chris Statlander gave herself a hysterectomy by doing a split on thumbtacks. That happened.
Yes.
Okay? But no one's talking about that. No one's talking about Will Ospreay and Pac putting on an absolute banger between two guys from England for the International Championship. No one's talking about that. No one's talking about the Bucks getting only their third successful title defense as tag champions, even though they won those titles back in April. Okay. No one's talking about that. They're only talking about the fact that Jon Moxley committed attempted murder on a pay-per-view, and then Hangman Page committed felonious assault and battery in a cage match that wasn't sanctioned. That's all the world is talking about, and that's a bad thing when it comes to this. And that's the thing that AEW needs to like kind of get control of. They had a really good card with a lot of good matches, but no one's talking about those matches. They're only talking about those two things, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Jack Perry had a match that I said made him a made man in AEW because he went up against, as Champ and I both agree, a legit Hall of Famer in Bryan Danielson. You had Pac versus Will Ospreay, which was a banger start to finish. Mercedes Moné had her best AEW match to date. The card was stacked, especially on the main card, with really, really good matches. But when you listen to Busted Open, and they're still talking about it a week later, when you look at Booker T, Eric Bischoff, etc., they're not talking about the awesome matches that me and Champ sat through last weekend. They're talking about two spots at the end of matches. That's it.
Yeah.
And it reminds me a lot of, I was going to ask one of them, did y'all watch the third Texas Chainsaw Massacre film and forget what was in the film, like I do? Within 72 hours, I can't remember what the hell I saw, except for a badass chainsaw, and Leatherface looks pretty decent. Oh, Viggo Mortensen's there too. But still, it's a forgettable film. The way that the internet, podcasts, and online people talking have just focused on those two things and not the card overall, this card's going to be more remembered now about the controversies, unfortunately, and not the matches that me and Champ enjoyed over last weekend. And I'm just hoping that they get their act together, because if by some chance they end up on FS1 with a new show, it's not going to draw with stunts like this that you have to build off of. I mean, I want to see where the stories go and all, but you need to stop acting like your 1990s ECW, WWF, WCW. I mean, what's King of the Road match? We're going to have these guys fighting in a bale of hay in the back of a truck. Is that what we're doing next? I mean, I don't want to see that. I saw it one time. That was enough for me. But unfortunately, AEW at times, this is to the detriment of the product, it's shock value over quality at times. It's a lot like Robbie giving me $5 million and saying, make a horror movie. And instead of doing something cerebral, I just go right for the shock value. You know, Robbie would rightfully say, bro, I gave you $5 million. This is the crap you give me, type deal. I like to be shocked, but you have to understand some things don't age well anymore. The big boss man hanging from Hell in a Cell don't age well anymore. Unprotected chair shots don't age well anymore. Using a syringe never ages well. And it's just something that people need to understand. Whew. But yeah, Robbie, it's been a gas tonight.
It's been so much fun. I really appreciate you stopping by, and you always know that you've got a spot here. Just
I might come in next. I might come in if I don't come in next week. I might come in the week after, just to talk shop about the game real quick.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, we appreciate you as always, and obviously, if you want to get more of Sith, you can check him out on the No Spots Pod. He also does his own show, and
Sith's Basement.
Yeah, and how do people find you? Are you on all audio platforms? What are you on these days?
Find me on Spotify, Sith's Basement, where guess what? We did a countdown starting this past Sunday and next Sunday of the top 190 films you have to see before you die. Robbie will likely mark out with this a little bit, depending on his film tastes. But these are films that they may not make the list for some people, but for me, they do for whatever reason. And
Nice.
yeah, the Friday the 13th fan base is going to be upset because Jason Goes to Hell is in there.
Right.
Also, make sure you check out Sith on his TikTok at
Oh,
True Sith Dan 74. He gives a lot of musings on different things, either politics, pop culture, movies, things like that. And he does promos and wrestling Q&A on our TikTok, which is tiktok.com/ at True No Spots Pod. So he's all over the social media. He's actually my social media guru for all things no spots and everything like that. And I appreciate him for that because I'm lazy when it comes to that kind of shit.
no. I'm the Prince Nana. Between me and Champ and Donnie, I'm like Prince Nana. I'm out here hyping people up and everything.
There you go.
Even
Hold on, if you're gonna be Prince Nana, you gotta do the dance. You go.
There you go. That's pretty funny. Like everyone needs a good hype man. I think about like, can you imagine what Undertaker would have been without Paul Bearer? Like
oh,
right? Like, would he have ever gotten to the heights that he ever? You need people to hype you up. That's what this show's always been about. I've always been loving to hype anybody up about anything, so people can always reach out to me, and I love having different guests talk about different topics all the time. So I
I will
appreciate
listen
that.
tomorrow after it drops on audio. Y'all be good, be safe, everyone. Enjoy your night, and we will see you soon.
Sounds good. I did drop the Spotify link on our Twitch stream, so if you watch the replay
Gracias.
over there, and you can also catch it on the YouTube link as well. So thank you, Dan, and we'll see you soon.
Welcome. Love you guys. Talk to you guys soon.
Love you too, bud. All right, that's awesome. So we haven't had Sith in the video form before, and so it's fun to be able to have him join us live here across all the different streaming platforms. And with that field goal that the Eagles just made, a 29-yard attempt, they'd actually take a 10-9 lead with 4:28 left in the third. It's a bit of a back and forth game, and this game is in Philly again. 4:28 left in the third, so we're monitoring that. But Champ, I want to get your quick thoughts on the move, because it's been something that's been talked about for quite some time. This buildup of this move to SmackDown and everything being in the USA Network. What were your thoughts on the night?
I thought it was a really good one. They really started off strong. They had the steel cage match to start things off. That's a great way to reintroduce everybody who wasn't watching SmackDown when it was on USA Network. And they had not only Cody retain, but then have the original tribal chief Roman Reigns then come out to save Cody after the bloodline jumped him after the matchup. And then they would close it out with Cody and Roman reluctantly becoming tag team partners to go up against the current tribal chief Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, his enforcer. And another thing that was made interesting, and I don't know if Sif mentioned this, I stepped away from my laptop for a bit, but Armando Alejandro Estrada, who was a manager for Umaga, the late Umaga, just signed a Legends deal with WWE this past week. And so there's been speculation, even before he signed his Legends deal, that he could be brought in to be the new wise man for this current bloodline. And now that he signed his Legends deal, we talked about on the podcast, episode 257, that's going to be up soon. That should be up by the time this goes up. That he could be potentially brought in as the new wise man to be a part of this whole bloodline civil war, which could bring back current Hall of Famer Paul Heyman to the fold. And I can imagine the mic work that could happen between Paul Heyman, who's one of the best on the mic, and Alejandro Estrada, who is also really good on the microphone. That could make for a very entertaining segment between two wise men in this bloodline civil war. Honestly, I'm salivating at the prospect of seeing Paul Heyman versus Alejandro Estrada on the microphone. That would be absolutely freaking amazing. And I mean, Estrada has already managed Fatu when Fatu was on the Indies. So he's already familiar with Jacob Fatu, and then he can get familiar with the bloodline, the bloodline 2.0. and I think it would be awesome. I think it'd be really awesome.
I really am so curious how The Rock comes back to the fold because they talked about that this was not going to be a one-off thing with WrestleMania. You knew that he was going to take some months off and do other projects or whatever he's working on. But I'm just so curious how they bring, because he's going to come into the fold. I think soonish, right? I think after Bloodline, I think that they're going to have to make a play to bring him back. I think he was such a like lightning rod when that happened. Like, I don't know. Especially when they're going to be moving to Netflix and they're all that build up and storylines, through that process. It makes too much sense in my mind.
I mean, one thing that we have all noticed as fans and as observers of wrestling in the last couple of years is that Triple H knows what he's doing when it comes to creative, because he's been there. He's been a wrestler. People tend to forget that Triple H wouldn't be here had it not been for the curtain call. Which, if people don't know what the curtain call is, that's when back in 1996, when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were getting ready to leave WWF to head to WCW, and they had a house show, a live event in Madison Square Garden. It was a cage match between, I believe it was Kevin Nash and HBK in the main event. And Nash, of course, put HBK over on the way out. And then afterwards, all four of them embraced in the ring because they were all part of a backstage group known as the Click. But back then in the 90s, they still believed in what was called kayfabe, meaning heels didn't mingle with heels, with faces, and vice versa. But yet these two guys, HBK was a face, and so was Hall, and Nash was a heel. I know I know Triple H was a heel. Scott Hall was a face. Nash was a face, and HBK was a heel, even though he kind of switched that up. But they weren't supposed to intermingle. But yet, right in front of all the fans in Madison Square Garden, they hugged each other in the middle of the ring and raised each other's arms in solidarity. And because of that, Triple H ended up getting punished for that because HBK was so high up in the hierarchy that he was untouchable. And of course, Nash and Hall left, so they weren't there. So Triple H ended up getting punished for that. With he was supposed to win King of the Ring that year. That didn't happen because he got punished. He ended up getting squashed by Ultimate Warrior at that year's WrestleMania. And Steve Austin ended up winning that year's King of the Ring. That's what led to Steve Austin's ascent to stardom and things like that. But Triple H persevered that, and he ended up becoming not only one of the best wrestlers in the WWE, but he also became a two-time Hall of Famer with DX and by himself, I believe. Well, no. I think he's a one-time Hall of Famer with just DX. He hadn't gone in by himself, but it's because of that he knows the business. Triple H knows the business. Triple H knows what will draw fans in. He knows what will draw fans out. So that's why I feel like when it comes to The Rock being reintegrated into this whole bloodline thing, he's got a plan. He's definitely got a plan. The seeds were already laid when The Rock did that promo after WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes. There's already a plan there. It's just that they're going to find a way to execute that plan while still integrating The Rock into this. But once The Rock comes back into the fold, you'll see. I think that I have full. If this was Vince McMahon still booking this, I would have zero confidence that they're going to execute this correctly. I have a lot of confidence that Triple H and company are going to execute this very, very perfectly.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've really liked the storyline so far. Honestly, I came back after Vince left because I just could not stand him, and I just for a while I kind of I don't know. I would follow it through you guys, but I wasn't gonna like absorb it and actually watch it, if that makes sense. And but now I am watching it because he's gone and it's kind of a new era, and I wanted to give it a chance again, right? And I've actually really enjoyed it these last couple of months, and so I think they did a great job with that. And I did want to show a couple of things, and I wanted to say hi to Troy, who's joining us over on the Facebook side of things. I want to talk a little bit about Carroll being live at the game this week. I said I was going to show a couple of his cool shots that he got, and then I also want to talk about the upcoming week in fantasy, as well as the pick'em from this week. It was a tough one. I almost could have picked the opposite of what we did. And I probably would have done a lot better than we did. But yeah, so I guess I'll talk to you first. What was your thoughts overall? I know that we had mostly Sif.
Oh, touchdown Falcons.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, that was wow. He's that forearm pushed him off. Oh, and then a flip to add to it. So yeah, good call there. They're gonna do a 2 point attempt here because they are currently down. Or they're currently up by 5.
Wow. He beat Sauce Gardner?
Ooh.
Well, not Sauce Gardner. But he beat that DB right off the line. Jesus Christ. What a pattern there. Little skinny post to get right in the middle of the field and just take it.
Yeah. So I'm just bringing up a couple of graphics here that I'm gonna share screen. But it was an interesting week. I definitely did a lot better last week than I did this week. But yeah, let me just see if I can do this real quick and share a screen of a couple of different things, and we can talk about them. It kind of works. Let me just see here. Doing some OBS work on the fly. But yeah, that's kind of, I need to move this. Wait, maybe. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix something. But while I fix this, Champ, why don't you give your thoughts on last week's football game and anything you have going into this upcoming week?
All right, so we're talking about against the New York Football Giants, yes?
Yes, sir.
Again, so I mentioned it in the first hour. One of my frustrations was you get into the red zone, and immediately on the very first play on the red zone, you go with a false start, which already puts you in the hole when you're that close, and then you don't adjust your play calling based off of that, and it leads to field goals instead of touchdowns. Jayden Daniels has yet to throw a passing touchdown in the regular season in his rookie year, which is very frustrating knowing that this kid can throw the rock. The other thing that was very frustrating was, and again, Hurt said that in the stadium, he couldn't tell if it was a bad tackling day, but when I was watching it on TV, it looked like these guys couldn't tackle for shit. It looked like me out there trying to tackle somebody, and I'm a 42-year-old man. It's 215 pounds. Okay, and it just looked like a poor tackling performance by the defense. One of the positives, I wouldn't say positives, one of the things that really stood out to me was the rookie wide receiver for the Giants, Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors looks like he's going to be a problem for the NFC East and the NFL for the next few years. That kid runs routes so clean, and especially those dig routes and those comeback routes. He runs those so clean. He could stop on a dime, get back to the ball, and then understand and adjust depending on where the defender's trying to tackle him at. I think that's something that cannot be taught. That's just something that you have within you as a smart route runner. And him being just a rookie in this, being able to have that ability to know on a comeback route, on a curl route, to catch it and read where the DB is trying to tackle you at, and be able to go opposite of that to get more yak. I think that's a great quality to have. And I think Malik Neighbors is going to be definitely someone that DBs, especially for the NFC East, are definitely going to have to scheme against and deal with for the next 5+ years, because he's going to be a definite hard to scout because of how well he can run routes and how well he can read when it comes to doing those curl routes and knowing where the defense is coming to get him. If they're coming in on his outside shoulder, he knows how to turn inside and turn it into more yards after the catch. Or if they're coming in on his inside shoulder, knowing how to turn up outside and then go up the field. That's just that's instinct. That's
Yeah.
instinct, and it's really good. And I think the other thing that really stood out to me was the interaction between Daniels and Neighbors, because they were teammates at LSU. I mean, Neighbors is one of the contributing factors to Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy on his final year of college before he got drafted #2 overall. And so they had their moment going into the fourth quarter. They even swapped jerseys and everything like that. I thought that was a really cool thing. A lot of people may not think the same way, but that's because they're idiots. I thought that was pretty cool because, college teammates, and they both got drafted in the first round in the NFL, and they're in the same division, so they're going to see each other twice a year for the next 4 to 5 years. So it's going to be great. So really, really, really enjoyed this game. Austin Siebert setting a new franchise record for most field goals made in the game and winning it with that 7th field goal. And I think that was a great move there by Washington going to get him, because clearly he's very, very talented at what he does. Hopefully he can keep that going throughout the remainder of the season, because when it comes down to these close games, it's going to come down to having a really good place kicker that could be able to go out there in crunch time and make that field goal to either win the game, tie the game, or what have you.
Yeah. So we got a question in our Facebook chat from Troy asking what the score on the Eagles game was, and we do have that. It's the end of the third period, and the Falcons are up 15-10, and we are watching footage of the run back. As you can see, for a touchdown, it was the only time we'd get into the end zone. And so, as seen by Carroll, and this is the hold that they called here. That's not really a hold, or I've seen less called in a lot of situations. But Carroll was able to shoot this footage going to the first game as a season ticket holder. So now he's going to be a bit of a live video journalist for us. And so any of the cool shots that he gets, we will share here live on the podcast, as well as you can always check out for late breaking news. When we're not live on air, you can always go to facebook.com/SportsOTHP, or just search Sports on the Hill podcast on Facebook, and you should be able to find us. And here is CP3 and Hurt together. And so it was cool that they got to
My
get to.
dogs.
Yep, and then there he is with his lady, and their seats. So shout out to both of them. And I'm happy that Christina and Carol had a great time at the game, and so did Hurt. And so it was awesome getting his insight earlier on as well. So I just wanted to show a couple of those things. If you want to catch more of these videos, or you can even watch us live, as we are live over there on Facebook as well. And we are live on Twitch, Kick, and on YouTube. So you can catch us on all the different platforms. The unified chat is in our YouTube chat, as well as our Twitch chat. So if you want to be and see all the chats from all 4 platforms in one place, you should go to those 2 spots. But obviously you can watch on Facebook or Kick as well. So we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Let's talk a little bit about this pick on this week. It was a rough week. We'll break it down. I was very wrong about the Buffalo Bills in this one. And New Orleans Saints, only 9% of people picked them, and they were able to score 44 points in Dallas. I watched none of this game, but I'm very happy with the result. But it's
Oh my God, New Orleans dog walked Dallas in their own freaking stadium. Only reason why I paid attention to this game, even though I didn't watch it, was because I have Alvin Kamara in one of the fantasy leagues that I'm in, which is a money league. And he absolutely went off 4 total touchdowns, and 3 of them happened in the first half. He absolutely torched Dallas. And then Derek Carr, who had a lot of criticisms because of his play in the last couple of years in Vegas with the Raiders, comes into New Orleans. And I saw a clip earlier on today or Monday, the day we're recording this, and Deuce McAllister, who was a very good running back in his time in the NFL, he's the color analyst for the New Orleans Saints radio broadcast. And he literally called it, saying that Carr should go over the top to Rashid against the rookie DB. And literally on that play, Carr went over the top on a post pattern against that rookie DB, and he beat that rookie DB for a touchdown. And Deuce McAllister gave a big old fist pump and talked about the fact that he called that play of him going over the top against that rookie DB. I thought it was really awesome. New Orleans played a very complete game against a Dallas defense that a year ago was damn near just unstoppable. But this game, they look like a high school junior varsity team when it came to defense, because New Orleans had their way with them, especially Kamara. They had their way with them. Dallas looked absolutely overmatched against them, and the score showed it. They got absolutely dog walked.
Yep. And Tampa Bay continued their good play. Everyone was sort of surprised them, especially in Detroit. Beat them 20-16. The Vikings outscored the 49ers 23-17. I really didn't have this one, even though it was in Minnesota. Carolina, pretty much everyone picked the Chargers on this one, 98% of people. The Packers, I thought with their quarterback going down, even though there was a home game, I don't know, I thought Indianapolis could maybe take advantage of that. I was very wrong. Indianapolis only puts up 10 points in Green Bay. Green Bay only puts up 16, but they get the win. The Jets,
hold on,
yeah.
Robbie. Two things about the two games you just talked about. Scroll back up. Carolina and Chargers. I saw a clip earlier as well of Adam Thielen, who's one of the receivers on Carolina, got open on a corner route, but Bryce Young didn't even see it and ended up scrambling around the pocket and got sacked. And Thielen just throws up his arms in frustration because of the fact of Bryce Young not seeing him get wide open on a corner route on the outside, to the point now that Bryce Young, it was announced on Monday that Bryce Young has been benched in favor of, I believe, who was he benched in favor of? Hang on. He was benched in favor of Andy Dalton. The red rifle is about to start in NFL again. Bryce Young's been benched, so the number one overall pick last year is now going to sit and watch for the time being, while behind another former first-round pick in Andy Dalton. Now, for the Green Bay game, there was a play that happened in this game that was very perplexing to a lot of fans, but was further explained in the post-game press conference. Malik Willis on 3rd and 10 took the snap and ran the ball instead of passing it, which led to a 4th down. Now, a lot of people were perplexed about that, but it was explained by Matt LaFavor after the game that the reason why he did that was because Willis called a non-verbal audible because the center, before he snapped the ball, threw up on the ball.
Oh, no.
And because of that, Willis didn't want to throw it because it probably was going to slip out of his hand, so he ended up just tucking it and taking it. He didn't get the first down. But it was because the center threw up on the ball that a 3rd down and 10, which was actually called for a pass, turned into a quarterback draw that didn't go for a first down. So that's what happened there. So for anybody's wondering
why did he throw up?
No one knows why the center threw up, but if people are confused why Malik Willis on a 3rd and 10, a 3rd and long, decided to run the ball instead of throw it, it's because the ball had puke on it, and he decided to take one for the team, tuck it and run, and end up getting not a first down.
That's wild.
Yeah.
The Jets beat the Titans. I did not, I don't know. It's, Aaron Rodgers, finally able to put up some points, outscored them. I did get this one right, but I'm still sort of surprised by it. But the Tennessee Titans are
the fact that the Titans coach, when Will Levis gave up that fumble, went out to the sidelines and told Will Levis, "What the fuck are you doing?" You can see it audibly while reading his lips. He said, "What the fuck are you doing?" That should tell you about the quarterback situation in Tennessee. That your own coach not only says, "What the F are you doing?" but then afterwards criticizes you, but still has your back.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we got the Seahawks beating the Patriots. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the play of the Patriots over the first two games. They're playing a lot better football than I thought. They're not necessarily winning all the games, although they did beat Cincinnati and surprise people last week. But they were definitely competitive in this one. A rematch of a Super Bowl that seems like it's from a bygone era. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars and Cleveland Brown 18-13. I'm just going to go through these quick. And then we've talked about the Commanders a lot, the Ravens and the Raiders. This was a epic collapse. And I really thought that first of all, I thought the Commanders were going to lose, and I thought the Ravens were going to win. And that was only at about like 30 minutes of real time and maybe 5 to 10 minutes of play time before the end of the game. And the Raiders had this incredible comeback in Baltimore, and the Ravens are down 0-2. Now, I know the Ravens had a tough start to the season, I want to say last year, and they went on a big run and ultimately, still made it to the playoffs. But I got to ask you, champ, what are your thoughts on these Ravens going 0-2 to start the season?
I mean, it's crazy to think you have the reigning league MVP in Lamar Jackson, but he's looked a little bit pedestrian in these first two games. Of course, the loss to the Kansas City Chiefs on the first game of the season on Thursday night, and then here again looking pedestrian. I'm gonna tell you something. On that final play, if Lamar Jackson just keeps going instead of trying to lateral it, he had a block in front of him. I think he gets back past that block. He beats the other man there, and I think he scores a touchdown there. But instead, he tries to lateral it, and that just creates a slew of problems for them and leads to them losing that game against Vegas. I think if he keeps going and reads where the block is trying to go and goes the opposite way, I think he scores. I think he scores, and I think Baltimore wins. So that right there is kind of on Lamar. But at the same time, Vegas is a very tough team. Devontae Adams, who I have on, I think, two or three of my fantasy teams, absolutely had a stellar game with Gardner Minshew throwing them the ball, making them look like $1,000,000. Uh, Brock Bowers, the rookie tight end, also had a pretty good game. He had almost 90 yards receiving. So this was a game that Vegas really had to have, and they did. And Baltimore, first game at home, and they just did not look like the same team that went to the playoffs last year and earned Lamar Jackson MVP for MVP honors. It just wasn't the same team.
Jalen Hurts with a big run there, has 83 rushing yards in this game. It was at 1st and 16 after the penalty, but they are now 2nd and 4. So they're able to pick up 12 out of those 16 yards. They can get a first down here at the 2-yard line. It is a running play. They get down. They're about 2 or 3 yards shy here on 3rd down. There's 7:40 left here in the fourth quarter on this Monday Night Football game that we're watching live.
Yeah, that was a good design quarterback draw by Hurts on that one to pick up some big yardage after they got called for a holding on first down. So good
Yeah.
run there. But then that second run was not the best from Barkley. They were able to read
But I
that and
think
sneak
it
that one
still
out.
chips away at it. It makes it third and manageable. I think I like the play call. It's um and we'll see here though. 3rd down, it's a big play right here. He rolls out an easy touchdown. And yeah, that's going to be a big play. So they're now up 16-15. I say they go for 2 here, right? Make it a 3-point game.
Well, I'm
Um,
behind you. I haven't seen a touchdown yet. I haven't seen
oh,
who you through it to.
oh yeah, I'll let you.
Oh, there it is. Barkley touchdown.
Yeah.
Barkley tutty. I think they do go for 2 here, honestly, because then it makes it where they have to either kick a field goal or score a touchdown to win. But there's still plenty of time in this game. Philly's defense has been somewhat hot and cold this game. So I think
Ooh,
that
is the foot down before he crosses the plane?
the knee is down. Oh
Hmm.
no. The knee is down and he's touched before he gets in the end zone. Ooh, that's gonna be an interesting chat.
Yeah,
That's gonna be an
he's gonna
interesting
come
move for
back.
Ryu.
It'll be a first down though, because they can get a first down at the 2, I believe, right? So it'll be first and goal.
They didn't even need to review it. They called it first and goal for Philly.
Yeah,
Not a touchdown.
interesting.
Wow. What a call. What a call there.
Yeah, interesting. And so he's down. Shouldn't the clock start? Okay, there it goes. I was like, what? All right, 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter here. Philly is gonna do the the push. What is it called? It's like a
The
shuffle.
brotherly shove.
Probably shove. And they're in, right? How could you not always get in? This is like,
I mean, they already used the brotherly shove earlier on this drive to convert 4th and 1. So I mean, why
yeah,
not just go for it? But look, Philly's got some opposition. Look at how they're stacked on defense. And touchdown Eagles.
yeah, it was pretty easy. I didn't want to call it yet because I knew that you were behind me. Um, but
Wow.
yeah, I do think they'll still go for 2 here. I think that they might even try the brotherly shove for 2. I don't know. It's a little far for 2. I feel like it's good for anything like just under 2, but we'll see here what they do.
I mean, they pushed him in and he's in. So if I were Philly, honestly, I would set up like they're going to do the brotherly shove, and then have Jalen Hurts roll out to his right and find an open tight end. Boom, 2 points. But no, they're not. Just setting up the shotgun.
This is interesting.
Barkley. I don't think he's. Nope, they're
I
sitting
don't.
like looks like
I
he's not
don't.
in.
They still are talking about it. They have not given, and I know I'm way ahead of you. So it's
Yeah,
crazy.
the way they walked down that line looked like he did
Oh,
not get in.
they called it so much later. It's the anticlimactic one, but I do think he does. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, I don't know. Is his knee down before that though? I don't know.
I'm
I
looking.
think I think it's a touchdown because I think that he
Oh
like
yeah, he's in. He's in.
yeah.
Yep, they called touchdown. Well, not
Or
touchdown, but 2 point
2 point
conversion.
conversion. Yeah, yeah. So now, ooh, Jason Kelsey is in the booth.
Yeah, he's
See?
been in the booth since the third quarter.
Nice. I'm not obviously listening since we're doing a show, but that's cool. But all right, so the next couple of games, Arizona Cardinals. It's funny when I made this pick, I really didn't feel good about it. I really felt like the Rams were going to lose to the Cardinals, but at the time the Rams I thought were a much better team. But somehow these Cardinals, and they did this for the last couple of seasons, have some of these games where they just put up crazy numbers at home. But I didn't see that in this game. I thought maybe they're going to win by like a field goal or something, but I'll just stick with it because 80% of people were picking right before game time. I was like, you know what? I'll just go with it, right?
Marvin Harrison Jr. has arrived.
Yeah,
Period. Marvin.
41 points. Good God. Just did not see it being that much of a blowout. But I think the Rams are worse than I thought. And then the Cincinnati has been playing so well, I think, in the first 2 weeks and just can't get a win. And Kansas City got a huge win there. And
I watched that game live too, by the way. After the Commanders game, I watched that game live on CBS, and I mean, Joe Burrow does not look like the same quarterback that lit the league on fire when he first got drafted. He kind of looks like he's starting to lose his touch a little bit. Jamar Chase, who is, you know, who came out and felt like the Bengals kind of did him dirty when it came to contract negotiations, wasn't really much involved in the offense. On the other side, Kansas City losing Isaiah Pacheco to a fractured fibia for about 2 months. So they're going to have to lean on a former commander in Samaje P. Ryan and another running back. They're also talking about bringing in Kareem Hunt as RB1 to replace Pacheco while he's out healing from this fractured fibula injury and things like that. So, but once again, this game showed why Patrick Mahomes has won so many Super Bowls in such a short career in the NFL. He was able to lead that drive down the field. Harrison Butker able to get that game-winning field goal to win it and things like that. So once again, KC showing that even if they don't play their normal their normal pace of offense, they still find a way to win ball games. It's incredible.
I want to give a huge shout out to Tina French, who's now become the all-time bit cheer on this channel.
What
Uh,
up, Tina?
at 4930. And if anyone sees when you give 300 bits or more, Twitch actually gives 10% bonus bits right now for the rest of, well, this is going to be the only stream that we're going to do it live on because I think it ends tomorrow. And Ginger Joy needs to come back and beat you. Yeah, I'm sure that she will because there's a battle for bit emotes, which I appreciate. It ends at 3 a.m., I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I got the same thing on our No Spot stream earlier from one of my biggest supporters who I mod for, who did a 300 bit cheer, and it ended up adding to that, which was pretty awesome. And so, got to give a shout out to my homegirl Sunshine for doing that and everything like that. So shout out to her and shout out to Tina French,
yeah, she's
great
only
supporter there.
70 um away from getting I think it's the 5K. I think is the next bit badge. So I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to see in the back end settings if that's correct. I think if you hit it in the creator dashboard, we it's cool because I'm trying to been dropping some new emotes, and I actually made a bit one for uh 5,000 will be the next one. And then once somebody gets to 10,000 bits, then I unlock the 25K one. But I know that's going to be a long ways away. But I'm going to be so excited that people could use the second slot one, which no one's ever actually gotten to be able to do that before. So right now it's a cool shark emote that shoots a freaking laser beam. It's an ice beam from it's kind of a play on multiple different pop culture things. I invented my own shiny of that shark. It's a Pokemon. But yeah, I appreciate all the support, Tina, as always, and I'm super happy they won. I'm super happy that Tina got to go. So you had somebody in chat that got to go, and somebody live on the stream that got to go to this game. We're at 6:12 left in the fourth quarter. Philly is still up by 3, and Cousins has the ball, and it's 3rd and 9 for the Falcons, who are trying to avoid going 0-2. The Eagles are trying to be one of the still remaining undefeated teams in week 2. We got Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Denver Broncos, who I just don't think are very good this year. The Texans beat the Bears barely 19-13. A lot of low scoring games this week. And the game that we're watching live is 15-10 right now. We're going to take a quick look at week 3, and then we're going to switch gears and talk about a couple other sports. I'm going to do my quick picks here, just a super fast gut feeling. We got Jets. I'm going to pick over the Patriots. I'm going to pick the Browns because the Giants look pretty terrible. Green Bay Packers had a big bounce back week, and the Tennessee Titans seem very suspect. This one's a really close one. Chicago Bears, Indianapolis Colts. I could see it going either way. I thought the Colts were going to do better. They find themselves 0-2. The Bears do have a win. But I do understand why people are going with the Colts maybe to get off the snide. So I may go back and forth on that one. But for now, I'm going to take
I think I picked Indy in another pick'em league I'm in because I think that Anthony Richardson is a much better quarterback than Caleb Williams. Williams still has yet to throw a touchdown pass, and the only win they got, which was in the season opener, was by their defense. It wasn't by Williams and the offense. I think that unless Chicago's defense shows up against Anthony Richardson and the Colts, I think the Colts take this one.
All right. Yeah, I think it's hard to go down to 0-3, so I feel like they're going to be fired up. Here's the opposite scenario where both teams are 2-0. The Texans looked pretty good this week, but I was surprised with the Vikings. I don't know. I kind of think that the AFC is better than the NFC right now, so that's why I'm picking the Texans. But
Case Keenum, that pass he threw to Justin Jefferson was freaking insane.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
In the double coverage, and he threw it about 50, 60 yards in the air, dropped it on a dime, and then Justin Jefferson did the rest.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm picking the Eagles, especially when the Saints just got that big win, but I don't know. I just feel like the Eagles will show up on the road. Um, but we will see. I'm not even sure. They might be if someone find a way to lose this game, they might get it all fired up. Right now it's fourth down though, and
oh, that means they didn't convert on 3rd and 9. Oh, he caught it short, way short of the first down. Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right, they're going for it on fourth down.
Hold on. What's about to happen here? 4 for 1. What you gonna do, Kurt? What
There's
you gonna do?
Oh my God.
Oh, get fucking shit on. Get shit on. Oh my God. Oh, there's a flag. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. He took his helmet off.
He's saying that it got hit off, that he didn't take it off.
Gardner Johnson might have just cost it.
Oh my
God.
No
foul on the play. Never mind. First down, Eagles. Never mind.
But he did
Gardner Johnson.
I think he took it off too early. I think they should have called it.
Either way,
I think they get away with one. Watch the replay. I think they get away with one. Anyway, I'm gonna pick the Steelers over the Chargers.
Oh yeah, no, they just showed the replay. It looked like he did take it off.
Right? He said it got knocked off and they believed him. I don't think that's what happened. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. Anyway, Eagles. I do think they're gonna win. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are gonna win. Although I could see the Chargers. Yeah, they're both 2-0. Buccaneers look really good, and the Broncos look really bad. And the Raiders look pretty good, and the Panthers look really bad. Seahawks versus Dolphins. Oof, this is a harder one. I think Seattle, because it's at home, the 12th man will make a little bit of a difference. And I thought Miami was going to win last week, and they were surprising. Oh, I hate making this pick. I'm going to pick the Ravens, but they better not break my heart.
I'm sorry. I love Tim, and I love the Ravens, but I had to pick Dallas on this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson is not playing up to the MVP caliber that he
I'm gonna pick it too, just on the hopes that it jinxes the Cowboys. And all right, I'm gonna hedge my bet on that one. We're gonna go with the 49ers here. Ooh, Cardinals surprised people last week, especially at home. Man, this is a harder pick now. Especially Detroit should have won last week and they didn't. I think Detroit needs to get a get back right game. Oof, I think this one's gonna come back to haunt me, but we shall see. Kansas City looks much better than the Falcons. And yeah, Buffalo in Buffalo. And yeah, there's no way I could take the Commanders in that game. So
I took them.
You did?
I did.
Oh wow.
I'm the type of person, I have a lot more faith in the Commanders than anybody else does. I get it. We've hardly ever played well on primetime games, especially on the road. But Joe Burrow is struggling.
I know, but I think
he's struggling. No, listen, he's struggling. He is really struggling. And when you think about the fact that one of your best receivers in Jamar Chase is so disgruntled by his contract that they're barely getting him involved in the offense and stuff like that, that speaks volumes, especially when we have a secondary like this that even though it doesn't seem like it, they're playing a lot better than a lot of people think. And I think that this secondary is going to show up against this offense in this passing attack and do something good. Benjamin St. Juice is such an underrated DB. He is so underrated. He went up against Mike Evans and guarded him so well, but yet Mike Evans still was able to get his shit off. Then he went up against Neighbors, who's a rookie, and his rookie really did well, despite the fact that St. Juice had really solid coverage against him. I honestly think you put Benjamin St. Juice against Jamar Chase, I don't know if Chase is going to get off like he thinks he is. Honestly, I don't think so. That's why I have more faith that the Commanders will win this one than anybody else, because I think Daniels will finally get his first NFL regular season passing touchdown. I think that Brian Robinson will have another solid running performance, and then you got to include Eckler in that because Eckler's been really solid as well. And I think they finally get Terry McLaurin involved in the pass offense, and even, not only just him, but also De'Ami Brown. They did get Zach Ertz involved a lot as well. So I think that this is where they really the offense really steps up and does something really really positive. So that's why I'm going with the Commanders against the Bengals, because I think the offense is going to finally show their teeth.
We will see. I don't see it, but I hope that you and I are sitting here and I'm very wrong next week. And so we may have different guests join us live throughout the night talking about we during the game we will do little segments where we talk about the recapping like we're doing right now of the NFL, since we can't obviously we'll talk the whole game about what's going on, but we're gonna also do our normal segments. Speaking of quick hit segments, I do want to do a couple of fast ones before we get out of here, including on some baseball. I'm gonna pull up some of those stats right now. And right now, the Orioles have been on a bit of a slump here, which has been very frustrating. While the Yankees have been on a tear, they've won 7 out of their last 10, and the Orioles have only won 3, and that's why they find themselves 3 games back. It was very close before that, and there's still some time left in this season. So. They had a tough go of it with the Red Sox, and they also lost 2 out of the 3 games against the Tigers. This week they are playing against the Giants, and sorry, I've got so many tabs open. So those got 3 games against the Giants on tomorrow, on Wednesday at 6:35, and then also so tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday they're playing at home. Thursday it's a 105 game, and then they play at home against the Tigers, who just took them in a series, so they get their chance to get a rematch this time in Baltimore. They'll play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against them. All those games. Well, Fridays at 7:05, Saturdays at 4:05, Sunday, as always, is 1:35. And then next week they'll have a series against the Yankees, which will be a big one in how it all shakes up. And we'll take a look at the standings overall. And it's good to say that we are at the top of the wild card race. As But and all you need is just to get in there. And in the National League, the Nationals at a 6-4 out of their last 10. They did okay against the Marlins, and they've got a series. They did lose to the Mets today. There is that series continues tomorrow, 7:10 on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they go to Chicago Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In that one, there's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are all 2:20 games, and the Thursday one is at 7:40. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting sort of end of the season for the Nationals. They are very far out of it. I just hope that they don't have 100 losses. And the Phillies are the top of that division with 90 wins. The Mets have 82 wins. and also in the wild card hunt is the Braves with 81 wins, and the Padres have 85 on the other side there, down in the National League. And yeah, and the Diamondbacks have 83. So it's a tight matchup for the wild card in baseball. Do you have any thoughts on baseball before we switch to soccer?
I mean, the Orioles look like they still have a chance to take the AL East crown if they can start getting on a roll before going into that 3-game series against the Yankees. Because then, with them being 3 back, if they could sweep the Yankees, they could definitely take control of the AL East and going into the playoffs. So, good luck to the Orioles. Of course, the Nationals right now are just trying to just end the season respectably here, and they need to do so. It's still a rebuild for this team, and hopefully they can build off of this going into next season. They're not going to make the playoffs, but hopefully they can build off of this and hopefully get back to form. We are still 5 years removed from them winning their lone World Series, and it's been just downhill ever since. Hopefully we can start to go uphill and start to see some improvement from the Nationals.
So we've hit the 2-minute warning. It looks like his knee gets down right at about the line to see if they get a first down here at, I believe, the 18-yard line. And they're saying it's 3rd and 1. And there's a zebra conference in the middle. While they're trying to figure everything out, and let's talk about some soccer. DC United got a big tie this week, and it put them at 33 points, which is in that 9 slot. We talked about it last week. The 8 versus 9 game is kind of the play-in game to play in the tournament in Major League Soccer. They do have a couple weeks left of their schedule. Any thoughts about DC United?
Yeah, they tied against New York this past weekend. They have Philly to take care of this coming Sunday, the 22nd. It's a 6:15 game here at Audi Field. And right now, as you just mentioned, they are sitting at 9th in the standings, which puts them in that play-in game. Philly is right behind them. They're 3 points behind them. So a victory or a tie against Philly will definitely keep them out of range for that play-in spot. Toronto is 3 points ahead of them in the 8th spot on the table for the Eastern Conference. So this is definitely going to be a very key matchup here coming up against Philly to keep them out of that play-in spot. After that, which is on that Saturday, they play Columbus. So they still have 5 games remaining in their season. But if they can maintain and score points in those 5 games, they can keep themselves in that spot to be able to play themselves into the MLS Cup playoffs. So they just need to score points. They can't afford any losses going forward, and they definitely can't afford a loss against Philadelphia coming up on Sunday. Otherwise, they will put themselves in a situation where they may not be able to even get in the play-in game.
Yeah, this Philadelphia game will be on Apple TV, and also on FS1. So just want people to know that all the other games for the rest of the season will be on the Apple TV or the MLS Season Pass. This next game is in Philly at Subaru Park. Shout out to Subaru. I've always driven Subarus. And then back to Audi Field for the game on the 28th against Columbus. And then also the last game of the season on the 19th against Charlotte is also at Audi Field. So go and catch a soccer game. I haven't actually caught one there, but I really love Audi Field. We had a good time going and catching a Defenders game this past spring. I highly recommend it. I definitely wish I had the resources to go right now to go to them, but both time and money isn't quite there, but I definitely, if you have it's a great experience. I remember going to DC United games at RFK Stadium, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, the supporters section is always raucous, and I love the Audi field, so I assume it's a really great experience. I've talked to others that have gone, and they've confirmed that. And
You
so
want to
yeah,
hear something crazy, Robbie? The want to hear something crazy? I've lived in DC my entire life. My entire existence has been. I lived in DC until 2019, when I moved to Virginia. I have never been to a sporting event in RFK Stadium. Never.
wow.
Not the Nationals when they first came here, not DC United, and definitely not the Commanders when they were the Washington Redskins. I've
Yeah.
never been to a game at RFK Stadium, and that's one of the things that I wish I was able to experience is a sporting event at RFK Stadium, and I've never had that experience. And I would love to have that experience one time, but I don't think it's going to ever happen.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever went to a baseball game there. I know that I did go to a soccer game, and I've gone to a lot of legendary concerts there, but I don't think I've ever um I never, my first football game was at FedEx Field. Their very first season that they moved there, actually. I saw two games, one against Baltimore, um, and I want to say that was a Monday night football game, and a Sunday night football game against the Cowboys. And so those were the two games I saw, I believe, that first season that they were there, back when it was called Jack Kent Cooke Stadium. And but yeah,
I've
so
been to plenty. I've been to plenty of Commanders games at FedEx Field,
yeah,
and I can tell you, like the logistics of that area is absolute ass.
yes,
But
no, it
I've never
sucks.
been.
I was a
I've
season
never.
ticket holder. I hated it,
Yeah,
so
I've never been to a Commanders game at RFK Stadium. I've been to one Nationals game at Nats Park down near Navy Yard, which it's cool because there's a metro station right nearby, so you don't have to drive there and things like that. And and then I've been to Audi Field, not for a United game, but of course with you, Carol, and Tim for the Defenders and stuff like that. And that was a really good experience and things like that. And of course, I've been to Capital One Arena more times than I can count for either wrestling events and I've been to one Wizards game. Oh, no, not one Wizards. I've been to three Wizards games at Capital One Arena. Once with a friend of mine or a former friend of mine who I haven't talked to in years, and then two times with my current partner. We actually went there for our anniversary a couple of years and stuff like that. But the only thing I have yet to do, I've yet to go to a DC United game, and I've yet to go to a Caps game.
hmm. Well, we got to change the caps one for sure. And I'd like to go to a DC United game with you, so we should fix both of those for sure. So that'll I've been to a WNBA game, I think, at Capital One Arena. I know we had offered a bunch of tickets that one year. I think I definitely went to a game. I'm just trying to remember. Back when we had like Valor passes because they came with it. So,
Mystics are knocking on the door for the playoffs. If you want to segue to that.
yeah, that's what I was actually gonna do. So there you go. It's the Mystics here. Unfortunately, well, let's go back to last week. So they lost to the Lynx on that Sunday game, and then they played the Sky. They did get a big victory over the Sky and a big victory over the Dream. Unfortunately, yesterday they lost the home and home game with the Dream. So that leaves them with two games remaining. One against the Liberty, which is tomorrow at 7 at home, and then against the Fever on Thursday at 7 as well. And so well, I want to pull up the WNBA playoff.
Right now, the Mystics, the Sky, and the Dream all sit tied at 13 and 25, which is good for the last playoff spot, the eighth playoff spot in the playoffs. So basically, what needs to happen is the Mystics need to win out, and I'm pretty sure they need some help since they did lose to the Dream in that home and home series. They did beat the Sky, so that might be one thing that might help them out here. Right now, they currently, I don't know what they use for tiebreakers, but if conference record was used as a tiebreaker,
Here it is. I actually just pulled it up on screen for you. If
yeah,
you
no, I'm actually looking at it on my screen as well. If excuse me, if conference record was used as a tiebreaker, right now the Mystics hold the tiebreaker over both the Sky and the Dream, even though they're both teams are well under 500. The Mystics have one more win and one less loss in conference play as opposed to the Sky and the Dream. And if that's a tiebreaker, that would put them into the 8th playoff spot. But I think that if they can get a victory over the number one ranked team in the Liberty, as well as get a victory over the Fever, who are the number 6, I think that will go a long way towards them getting to the playoffs and possibly getting on a run to make a run in the playoffs. But it's going to be a tough road to go for the Mystics. Again, going up against the best team in the WNBA, in the Liberty, who have the best record at 31-7 at this point in time, and then having to go up against the Fever, who are 20-19. So if they're going to make the playoffs, those are the games you have to win. Honestly, you have to win those games.
right. Well, the Sky and the so the Sky play the Dream tomorrow, which kind of screws us because that means one of us is going to get the win, or one of them is going to get the win, and then we have to hope that they lose to the Sun, and then on the Dream side, we have to hope that they lose to Liberty, and then then we win both, then we're okay. Is kind of the best case scenario. So it's gonna be tough though because we have a really tough final 2 games, but it'll be interesting to see. The Fever should really want to try to win just to try to jockey for position. The Liberty, on the other hand, since theirs is kind of more in stone. It'd be interesting to see if they play how hard they play their players in that game, which can also screw them over because that's the same scenario that we need them to win that other game. So there's a lot of storylines left to be told here in this last week. And so but yeah, it'll be interesting to cover. Obviously, again, next week we'll obviously cover whether or not they made it or not. But at least they made it interesting in these last couple of weeks. There was talk a couple of weeks ago that I didn't think it would be interesting in the final week of the season. So good on the Mystics for putting themselves in a position to at least be competitive.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we got one thing.
By the way, in our Monday Night Football game, Eagles just made a field goal with less than 2 minutes to go. So now Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons are down 6 points, but they have a minute 39 left to try to either tie or take the lead in this one. It's going to be interesting to see what Kirk can do.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch the screens around real quickly. And we can watch this end of this game together here since it's almost over. And yeah, it's been a super fun show. We talked about a lot of different sports. Awesome to have Hurt and Sith both back on the program and have a victory Monday. And thank you all for in the chat for all hyping us up. It's been a lot of fun to be with you guys all again. And so yeah, it's again it's 1st and 10 for the Atlanta Falcons. They are on the 38-yard line, and ooh, oh wow. I don't want to spoil anything for Champ, so I'm just like struggling.
Nah, he's on the 38 now, on the Eagles 38. Wow, what a pass.
Yeah, and then the next play is even more incredible in some ways. And
Get the foot! Get the foot! Yo, they're playing prevent. We all know what prevent defense means. It means they're preventing themselves from winning.
Right. Wow. So here they are, 48 seconds left. They are now on the 12-yard line, 1st and 10, with an opportunity here. And they just keep on taking the under, and they're just gonna keep on chipping away here at this lead. At this the yardage, and try to get back into this.
This is 4-down territory. This is 4-down territory.
Yep, exactly. And you want to be smart with your clock management. The Eagles do have 2 timeouts, so you don't want to leave them with too much time. And so if I was, but Atlanta doesn't have any timeouts, so that's why they have to play to the side. But they have 43 seconds, so if they wanted to burn some of this, they could.
Absolutely. I mean, right now, time is the friend
Oh,
of the Eagles with 2 timeouts, but they know that if they can stop if they can stop Atlanta in the inbounds, they have to get to the line quickly and spike the ball, and so that's what's on Philly's side. Otherwise,
wow.
uh,
This is an interesting no call. I want to get.
wow, no PI though,
I know. I think it
no
should have been.
PI, really?
Yeah. Oof, that's some unlucky bullshit there, and it stops the clock as well. And he sets
Oh
his feet.
nah, oh nah, you gotta call that, ref. Nah, that's bullshit.
Don't worry, karma gets them.
Let's see. Let's see. 3rd and 5 from the 8 in motion. Toss. Oh my god, he's wide open.
He does his little juke thing, and he just gets that separation. Goes to the end line. Great play
Drake
call.
London. Good lord.
He just
You
broke his
can't leave a
ankle.
guy that size wide open. There ain't no way.
Yeah. So oh no, Drake London just did a shooting thing and got a stupid fucking penalty. Unsportsmanlike conduct. As he should
Mm-mm.
have. He was doing some sort of gat shooting thing. Are you kidding me?
Oh my god, that's crazy.
So he's saying that he's doing a shooting motion and he's calling a penalty on it, even though he's on the sideline. This makes this extra point a kind of a difficult extra point with that penalty. They'll be kicking it from the 30. It is up and it is good. They take a 22-21 lead here with 34 seconds left.
Oh my.
So
Oh my.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just getting the field goal on my end. The extra point, I should say. Young Wei Koo, one of the most accurate kickers of this generation.
yeah. All right. Big drive though. Props to Kirk Cousins. Yeah, actually, Troy Evans, they are tied until the extra point. So the Eagles are actually now behind in this game.
But they have
And
34 seconds and 2 timeouts. So I think
yeah,
they
this is not over. So it's going to be interesting to see here. Let me put a different graphic up because we got general NFL
hang on.
talk here.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go refresh my drink.
Yeah, go for it. Um, Here we go. I'm just putting up a different graphic here. But thank you everyone for tuning in. New kickoff rules. They get it into the end zone and they kneel it, which means I think they get it. I'm trying to remember, is it in the 30-yard line now? And the Eagles have been marching down the field pretty easily. So all they need here is a field goal. And we'll see how they do. 1st and 10, 34 seconds left. Thank you everyone for tuning in across all the different platforms. Really appreciate it. And
All right, let's strap in, folks. We're about to be in for an exciting finish.
yep. All right. All right. They give up the middle part of the field here. It's, you know, it's an interesting play call because I think I'm of the belief you want to keep your timeouts in your back pocket in these situations and just keep on doing out routes, but it's and save those sort of middle routes for when you are further down the field. That's my opinion, but
Yeah,
what do you
no,
think?
I agree. No, I agree. I agree that you definitely want to use the sidelines, but I think that they understand that Atlanta's going to be guarding the sidelines for that sort of thing, even understanding that they have 2 timeouts. So I think that it's smart to go to the middle of the field because you do have 2 timeouts. Now one.
But if I'm going to do that, I want to get a bigger chunk of yards, in my opinion, though. They're still on their side of the 50. They still got to get pretty far in 27 seconds and now only have 1 timeout. So we'll see, how smart of a play this is. Oh,
Hang on, hold on, what just happened? Because they just come out in the huddle on the 43. They gotta get to the 50, the 47 for a first down. Picked off! Get the fuck out! Get fucking shit on! Jesus
yes!
Christ!
Cry, Eagles.
Eagles
Cry.
cry on the road to this no
It's
victory.
misery, right? On the road to
Yeah,
misery.
cry, Eagles
Eagles
cry on
cry.
the road to misery.
Yes.
Score a pick off 1, 2, 3.
Oh, the face of all the Eagles fans. I'm so happy we stayed up for this. Oh,
So,
man.
oh, look at he doing the dirty bird. That's
Oh.
awesome. Oh my God. So the Commanders are the only team in the NFC East that won this week. This is amazing.
Well, this is the best victory Monday. What a celebration.
Oh my God.
I'm so happy that we stuck with it and helped jinx the Eagles. This is fantastic.
This
Uh,
is awesome.
yeah,
This is awesome.
I appreciate this greatly. So thank you everyone for being a part of this very special Victory Monday. We with that they'll kneel down and they'll be done. So next week we will talk about the WNBA and the playoff picture and hopefully see if the Mystics make it in. We will talk a little bit about how the Orioles are doing, the Nationals are doing, and how the DC United is doing on their quest as well. We'll talk about the whole night, the live Commanders game. Anybody that wants to live watch it along with us, they can do so. We will hopefully. At least it can't be a misery Monday in the sense that it can't already have lost. But we will broadcast until we can't broadcast anymore. I'm not going to guarantee that we will stay all the way to the end like this, but if it's a close game, we might. And it's been a lot of fun talking all these different sports, having um, I'm just so happy we got Hurt back and we had Sith Lord back, yeah, it's been fun. Troy Evans, how do you live watch it? Well, I'm just watching it on a TV. I have YouTube TV, and but people can come along, make comments in the chat, as well as we'll have my colleagues joining us live here on the Zoom meeting, being from all over as well. So I'm going to take a look quickly here to see who's on, to see if there's anybody that I want to raid real quick. I'm just taking a quick look over here. But Chip, while I do that, I give one more plug for the No Spots podcast. I know that you guys recorded earlier today with the Sith Lord himself. And yeah.
Absolutely. If you're listening to this now, the audio should be up by the time this goes up. We talked about All Out, which was AEW's recent pay-per-view. We gave our thoughts on that. We also talked about news and notes. The Motor City Machine Guns have landed in WWE. One of the most decorated tag teams in TNA history will be part of WWE. It looks like they're going to be a part of NXT when they do debut. So we talked about that, as well as the former Nikki Bella, now known as Nikki Garcia, is about to go into divorce court against her husband after her husband was arrested 2 weeks prior due to a felony domestic violence charge. So we'll talk about all that, as well as the week that was in wrestling. So make sure you check out episode 257 of the podcast, and then 258, which we will be recording next week. We are doing a retro rewind of the very first Bad Blood pay-per-view that took place back in 1997 in anticipation for the newest edition of Bad Blood that's coming up next Saturday, which will feature a Hell in a Cell match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. So make sure you tune in for that. We'll do that as well as a recap of TNA Victory Road, which took place this past weekend as well. So make sure you check us out, twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod, or on the audio platforms on Spotify and Amazon Music.
Do you like that?
Right.
I had to, right? Yeah. Oh man, I'm sorry. I just saw Cousins in a post game. Do you like that? It's just forever ingrained.
You like that? You
There
like
you,
that?
there we go. We're gonna visit somebody that welcome cell count. We're about to raid. I'm happy that you're here. I would love for people to join us. We're gonna raid somebody I don't think I've ever raided before, but she's an awesome rapper. Oh my goodness, we got Bob Blaho raid coming in right now. That's wild. All right, I was about to raid out, but that's
What
very
up, Raiders?
exciting. Wow, I don't think Bob has ever gotten a chance to rate us before. Welcome in. We'll hang out for a little bit with our raiders, and then we are gonna bring some friends over, I think, over to Thug Shells after this. But welcome in, Bob, and we got Jazz Simply Me in chat. We got Hira Chess, we got W1, we've got Bob himself, Mod Scientist. So yeah, it's really good to see you guys. We were just watching a very exciting football game, which the Eagles lost at home. We got Dallas losing at home this week. We were able to beat the Giants, so we were the only NFC East champions. And so, if people don't know that in American football, that's our division. And we rarely get victory Mondays, and we really rarely get it when we're the only team to win. So we had such a fun show earlier. The VOD will stay up, obviously, on all platforms. We had Hurt, who was my very first producer, come on air and join us. And he gave us our start, if people don't know, on the True Radio Network. He put us on a live web radio program. And and that web radio program grew into what this podcast is here 9 years later. So it's so fun to give him a platform to talk. He was actually at the game along with our CEO of our podcast network. Your Falcons didn't choke, Christy Lou. We can celebrate with a Falcons fan. Congratulations. Big win for Kirky. Kirk Cousins used to be a former, we'll call him a Redskins quarterback, because that's what they were called then. Yeah, it's a weird thing doing this for 9 years, champ. We called them the Redskins, we called them the Washington football team. They are now the Commanders, but I'm super excited. Yeah, we're talking about Kirk always chokes in these big Monday night games, and so I'm super happy we reverse jinxed him, and he was able to come down, get a big drive there at the very end of the game, get a big win, and then the interception at the very end at home for the Eagles when they thought that they were going to drive for the win. Super sweet. I love that. The Bears choke though. Yes, that's true. We were actually just talking about the Bears game a few minutes ago, how that's going to be a kind of a toss-up game. But so good to see. Always smile here, 365. I appreciate a ton of you guys for stopping by. We've been talking sports all day. That's what we usually do here, but I love the music community here on Twitch. I mod for a lot of people alongside Bob, in a couple of streams as well. And I see a lot of you guys all throughout Twitch. So I was super happy for you guys to come and visit me here. Yeah, we're just recording this audio podcast as well. We are live on Kick and YouTube and on Facebook Live as well. So all the different platforms, talking different sports teams and stuff like that. Any Huskers community? I'm curious because I've never been so hopeful for a season. I am not a Huskers fan. I can't speak for anybody else in it, but yeah, they got a big win this week against UTEP 70. Sorry, they got a big win against Northern Iowa this week. That's what it was. And they beat Colorado the week before and UTEP the week before that. So they got a good game against Illinois this upcoming Friday, which is always interesting. They have a Friday game, number 24 versus number 22. So that'll be an interesting matchup coming up for them. And yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, music streamers almost always rate other music streamers. So I am not surprised with that, Bob, but I really appreciate you for sharing some love and bringing it over to people. Sometimes I do art streams. It is already 11:21. So probably not going to start an art stream right now, but I do a lot of emote design, graphic design, and stuff like that as well. I do want to share some love for somebody who I really love on the music community. So I'm actually going to bring the community back to music. But I really appreciate the raid and all the love tonight. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to raid a streamer by the name of Thug Shells, who's actually a really big streamer, but she is a rapper out of Canada. And I've always loved her style. Yeah, so we can bring over a big crowd over there, which I appreciate. I will do the raid command and a sub raid command. So if you have either of those, you can bring that in, make it loud. I really appreciate everyone for coming through. Yeah, I hope that you guys all have a wonderful week. Yeah, I really appreciate the raid, Bob, and the friendship. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to set up the raid here on this side and yeah, grab a call. We'll head over. Next week, we'll do a live stream where we watch the Commanders probably lose, although Champ seems to be hopeful that we will be able to beat them.
They ain't losing.
All right. Well, we'll see. Well, me and Champ live stream the Commanders game. We'll live watch along, I should say. We're not going to show it because of NFL restrictions, but we'll do a watch along. You'll get a live, raw reaction to us in big moments throughout the game. We'll break down all of the big games from last week. We'll also talk a little bit of soccer, a little WNBA, a little baseball as well. So I hope that people are able to come back and tune in. Really appreciate all the love. Hope you guys give love to Thug Shells. She's an incredible rapper. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in and being a part of the show tonight. Yeah, you'll really like her if you are able to stay tuned. And yeah, I hope that everyone has a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sayonara.